Good afternoon.
Thank you, Diane. She's been a friend of mine for some years. I think about it. I am I'm the Midwest Regional Director for My Brother's Keeper. So for people that don't know what that is, that's the President of the United States mentoring program. So I deal with all of the mentoring programs in the Midwest region. So Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. I deal with all of them to make sure that they have the resources to be able to keep their mentoring programs going, make sure that there's funding to go to their mentoring programs if they do not have any, or make sure that there is an advocate or a give or a donation project that's built into their mentoring programs to make sure that they're functional and operational. A little tidbit about myself: I've been in politics for over 15 years. I've seen that long, but I just turned 44 in October 21st. So 15 years I've been in politics. I have worked with everyone from Governor Granholm to State Representative Fred Durhall Jr. to State Representative George Cushenberry, City Council members Brenda Jones, Alberta Tinsley Talavi and others, Joanne Watson and others, Wayne County Commissioner Alicia Bell. So I've been an integral part. Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, I worked with him as well. It's okay. No. I didn't go to jail. Right. So I don't care about all that. But so I've been in public service for 15 years. I've dedicated my life into being not just a politician, but a servant to the people. Helped over like 50,000 residents all throughout Michigan and other states. Provided everything from when you got DHS problems, I've helped with those issues, Medicaid, Medicare problems, what else? Insurance issues, all of those things. I have been in the forefront of serving people to make sure that those services are provided for you. I am the last line of defense in the state legislature when things go awry, like the Virgil Smith things and other problems that come about. I am the one to be called to fix some of those problems. Or I deal with campaign issues. Thank you so much. I'm sweating like an old man in heat. So
the AC is on. It blows up right against us.
Right. So okay, I appreciate that. So getting back to what I do for a living. Outside of that, I am the CEO and founder of All for One. It's a nonprofit 501c3 organization. It's a national organization. We're in 5 states. What we do is social service, and we provide everything from affordable health care counseling. We are certified counselors to provide for health care. Sign up for the president. Yes, we're part of that. We're also we host youth summits. We just had one October 22nd here at Wayne State. We had 200 high school students from all over the school districts here in Michigan attached to the My Brother Keeper initiative. What else we do? We're getting set up for our holiday harvest. We do yearly where we give new toys and new clothes to both Ronald McDonald's House as well as Children's Hospital, as well as we pick people in the community that we provide toys and clothing for the holiday, because we know that a lot of people are not going to be able to purchase and going to buy new things. So last year we had over 30,000 toys and clothing wear to give to people and to Children's Hospital. They turned us away. They said we had too much stuff to give, so we just went out in the neighborhoods, knocked on the doors and said, "Merry Christmas, here you go." So people were very excited about that opportunity. We also are part of United Way and Skillman Foundations and others, where we are developing mentoring programs in your Detroit public schools, as well as your charters, academies, and so forth. So we've been in business for 10 years with that. So I'm excited to be able to provide service, like I said again, for such a long time, and advocates for those who are in that field or social service. It is not a commitment that made easy. Believe me when I tell you, it is not easy because you don't get paid a lot. For some of those who are getting into the public service, it's not that's going to pay you a great deal of money. But the gratitude of it all is to see somebody smile when you give them some service. The gratitude is to seeing a family being taken care of when they feel like there's nobody to take care of. So that's what All for One is about. And it gives you an opportunity to join in when you think about it. And the company name is ALLFOURONE. We do have a website, allfor1detroit.org. And you'll see that we work with everybody, even the president, on some initiatives for the mentoring programs. That what led me to becoming the Midwest Regional Director, because I was in the mentoring program for 8 years. And I was spot shadowing here at Cody High School, you know, Cooley when they were open and things of that nature, working with DPS and working with the charters and academies. So when you advocate, you are looking at the special interests of what you want. Since 1980, special interest groups grew up to 100,000 since 1980s. So when you join in with American Cancer Society, or if you go to the American Lung Society, you'll find out that they have budgets that's like 200, 300,000. That's geared for you to go to Lansing and talk to people like me and say, hey, this is how important it is to pass this bill. Now, some people will say, this is just a simple little bill. But the work that goes into making this bill a law is very difficult. First of all, hey, we take old bills, and they have been around since like 1849, 1900s, or whatever, and we just change the language. So what we'll do is we'll scratch out some of the language, plug in some of ours, and then we'll have our fiscal agency come in and talk with us about what the bill will cost, how would it affect people in the community, and then we start having open meeting acts, where in that committee, it could be this education committee, where then this bill goes in front of the education committee, and that committee will then decide. But what I have to do on my job is then talk to the chair, and then the vice chair, and talk to them, take them out to dinner, give them a couple of drinks, and be like, hey, look, you know, I sponsored this bill, and in this bill, I need your support. So, what we consider a blueback, which you don't get on this, we have it on the House floor. So what happens is that my sponsorship name goes on the front, and all the co-sponsors goes on the back. So it's 110 state representatives. It's 89 state senators. So my job is to get it through the House floor. Once I get it through the House floor, then it goes to the committee, the standing committee, to the Senate. As soon as it goes through the Senate and the standing committee, just like it goes to the Housing, then they vote. As soon as they vote, then it comes right back to me. And I'm smoothing some more because I got to talk to the House Speaker, because at the time, he may be Republican. And because I'm Democrat, he may not like the bill. So I may have to say, hey, look, I may change the language for him and discuss, hey, this is an opportunity for growth in this community. So they give me 20 minutes to go up there and speak. And so then I let them know how much of importance it is. I even bring some people along and be like, hey, look, I need about 50 of you. I'll bus you and say, come on up here to Lansing. I'll take care of your transportation and feed you and give you some drinks. On me. Because I like to eat too.
Party bus?
No party bus. No, girl, we get in trouble for that. So, get you up there, and you say how it's important. You become my advocate. You get to discuss about how it works, how this is going to help your community. And this is how a bill becomes a bill. So then the governor has 90 days to sign it into law. And as soon as he's finished signing it into law, then it becomes on the books. And the only way that it can change is if the Supreme Court changes it. That's the only person, that's the only group out of the separation of powers that can change a law. It's the state Supreme Court. The only way he can do that is if the advocate group decided they want to go sponsor against it. Then they got to go up there and they got to go to the state Supreme Court judge, and then the state Supreme Court judges, 4 out of 5, can make that decision and say, hey, you know, this bill is wrong. And so then we had to go and I had to go up to the United States Supreme Court, because then I had to file an appeal. And then we got bigger lawyers than you do. And so then we go up there and then we fight, and then it becomes back to law. And then that's how the bill becomes a land law. So if anybody wants to be in my shoes, one, I tell people, if you want to be a politician, you cannot just run for office. My suggestion is that you go work for other legislators. May it be your local municipality, or it be your state, or even your congressman. One, know your district. For those who like to run for office, one day, who's thinking about being a politician or being a legislator, really know your district. Know the community that's inside of your district. Know your precincts. Know your districts. Know how many people vote in your district. I have 69,732 residents in my district, constituents. In 2014, only 5% of that came out to vote in the primary. District 5. So that covers, this used to be my district. Midtown used to be my district when it was District 6. But because when we moved the district around because population depleted, this became District 4. And I became District 5. So I have all of Linwood, I got all of Dexter, I got Southwest.
Redistricting, right?
Yeah.
That's something else. I'm learning about that.
District. So I have one of the largest districts in the city of Detroit. I got all the way down to Woodmere and Michigan Avenue, right down at the end of the cemetery.
Wow.
So I have all of that up, coming up. And so you can just imagine I have the Hispanics on one end, and I have the blacks on the other end.
Yeah.
And so I get 1% out of the Hispanic group, and I get 4% out of the black group.
Right.
So 2014 set precedent that we need to start changing the way that we start looking at voting. So I had a conversation with the Michigan Democratic Party and told them how disgusting it was to see that 5 people came to one polling site, 10 people came to another polling site, 3 people came to another polling site. And I was asking them, like, what are we going to do? Well, they were up in arms because they didn't know what they wanted to do. So my goal was to reach out to young people. You know, seniors don't vote. I'll be honest with you. 65, I don't even give it 55 to 90, over 80% go out to vote. As you know, they're still with the Martin Luther King, civil rights, voting rights, the 67, they're still living with that. But as you, my 40s, my 30s, my 20s, my 18s, you are a disappointment. I'll be honest. And we can be honest. Because you don't go to vote. Now my thing is what you voted in 2008. The biggest landmark. You voted. You stayed out there till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, pouring rain, heat, all of that. People throwing sandwiches at y'all, drinks at y'all. Y'all was standing there to vote for the first African American black man inside office. But here in Detroit, after 2008, and then 2012, 13, you stopped voting. You in between. You just said, okay, you know what? In between those 2 sessions, the presidents, I ain't gonna do that much voting. So my question, before I ask you to ask me some questions, I'm gonna ask you a question. What is it that will inspire you to go out and vote? Yes, ma'am.
Maybe you go get out and, well, not chill, but.
I knocked on 4,722 doors. Like, come on, vote.
And maybe it's just not an election periodically go in your community, knock on doors, see what's happening, let us get to know you, and not just when it's time to vote, you show up at church once every 4 years.
Right.
Or, you know,
Yes. Show up at the community church, yeah.
In the community, so we know you and we want to get out and vote for you. We know you're doing something in the community.
Okay.
I maybe community colleges, like, every 3-4 months, getting some people, I don't know, you and your colleagues,
Right.
and getting out to different community colleges, because those, the students are going to probably go and listen to what you guys have to say.
Right.
You're going to respect that, and then that's more likely to get the word out there that, hey, your voice matters.
Okay.
Your voice matters, and we want you to come out and tell us what your thoughts are. So, I don't know, because I work in a restaurant, and there is a lot of the people that I work with do not believe that our vote matters at all.
Yeah.
And these are, 18 to 25, sometimes, older than that, but most ones don't vote. I've tried to talk to them about it. I'm like, November's, I gotta
Yeah,
go
because
vote,
I'm
gotta
about to
go
start
vote.
coming out with my
Get
belt.
Snyder out.
A lot of times, in the summer, how they do like the community cleanups.
Yes.
Get like a band of some of these young folks and clean up maybe a senior citizen yard, or,
Right.
have your little flyers to put out too,
Right.
and not really saying you, but
Right.
other politicians, but it's, I think it's important to not just do it when it's come time for an election, but just to do it, just like what you said, like every 4 months or something like that.
Okay.
Even go to the school when they have, like the public schools in the area, when they have like certain assemblies or
Right.
certain like career day or whatever.
Right.
Pop up and say, hey, this is me, this is who
Right.
I am, and this is what this is what I like to see happen in our community, and because you have a lot of young parents. Those parents are those ages.
Correct.
And so go to the public schools and talk about things like that. Come out and clean up the schoolyard sometimes. I think in the communities they want to see a lot of that more.
Okay.
So maybe going to like big companies and asking them to allow their employees to vote during the day might make a difference, because people often use it as excuse when they don't want to go after work and they don't want to have to wait in line and everything else. So maybe being able to get some big corporations on board with like allowing their employees to wait for a few hours to vote. I don't know.
I only once had someone knock on my door, and he even helped me take my grass clippings to the street because I was dragging them at the point.
Okay.
That's the only interaction I've ever had with somebody. Besides I see signs you put up, or you keep mailing me stuff, and everybody mails me stuff telling me how much is better than somebody else. I don't seem to be doing anything about it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what some people saying, young people don't vote. I have college age children, and I know my daughter sometimes we get a little debate because she's like, oh, should I vote? When we vote for something and they change it, like, you vote for something, a few things were voted on, I think was it last year or the year before, and it was overturned by the governor before that.
Act 72, that turned into 436, which led us to the consent agreement, which then led us to the emergency manager. I know a lot of you are very peeved off about that, who all work in the public sector arena.
And then they asked if they wanted gay marriage.
Yeah, that's the big topic now.
That was overturned. So, I mean, they get frustrated if you go vote and we vote and we don't want it or we do want it, then somebody just overturns it. So, listen.
Well, I would say this, democracy is the major key. It's easy for me, and I'll be honest with you, it's easy for me to do divide and conquer. If you ever read the book Art of War, anybody, or Machiavelli, yeah, I mean, if you read those kind of journals, those things kind of dictate to you on how the shape of leadership is, the quality of ownership of being a democracy, how one individual, can be the game changer, can actually say to you that I want to inspire you to vote. I want you to see me like you. Coming off of where you were saying, yeah, by November, August or somewhere in there, by August, primaries. Because a lot of you don't understand this. We win when you vote in the primaries. It's not about you voting in the general election. Now, a lot of you understand that when I vote in the general election, that means my candidate is really won. No. The candidate sometimes that you really like, the one that helps you pull your bags and everything, if he or she doesn't win in the primaries, then you won't see him in the general election. That's what also causes discomfort for you as well, because you're like, oh, I really like that guy. That guy really took the time to do that for me. And I don't see him in the general election, so I'm just not, I don't care. It's a vote, it's a straight vote, because this town is a Democratic vote town, Everything is Democratic. So, I say to you is to do research on us. Before we come and knock on your door, you know the circle day. You know when I'm coming. You already know. I already know you, brother. Come on. I need you to talk to me more about what you're going to do. Or what have you done? Because most of you are complaining about what have I done. Well, my complaint is, what have you done? Because I'm like, hey, I do research on you. I go in your neighborhood, in your district, in my precinct, and find out how many of you really vote. Because I go by the numbers. That's what I get paid to do, go by the numbers. So I know if you live in a historic district, I know how many people vote in that historic district. I know how many seniors vote. I know how many 35 to 25 vote. I know the whole thing. I know how many of you have college education, how many of you don't, how many of you work, all of that. Because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. And so that is what I'm saying to you. Is like, you should do the same kind of work that I do to you. You should do to me. You should say to yourself that, you know what? I need to know more about Rick Snyder before I vote Rick Snyder. He seemed like to be a good guy. His policies seem to be great, but I don't know that much. Or Mark Showers, But that's what I'm saying to you. It's all of our responsibility to learn each other and advocating towards one another. It's my job to get to know you. Like you said, you want me to rake your leaves? Okay. I'm out there in my overalls, with my Timbs on. You gonna vote for me? Yes. Okay, that's great. You want me to carry your grocery bags to your car? That's fine. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get your vote. You want me to carry your baby on my back or on my chest? They got the little straps now when you put them on. I will do that, just for your vote. But I make light of it. But it's your responsibility now, as citizens, to make the impactful ideas that, hey, you know what? Yeah, he may have made a mistake. He may have. That guy right there may have made a mistake. But what really happened? And then you got to ask yourself, do you think he'll make that same mistake again? And will you vote for him when it's time? I see that. Would you vote for that guy? And would you feel like you're comfortable enough to know that he's good at his job? Even though mistakes have happened. We all make mistakes. We've all done some wrong things, and I'm like, nobody in here is saint. I am. But we all have a responsibility. And yes, it's my responsibility, to be in your face hard. It's my responsibility to be in your community meetings, in your church meetings, and I do that a lot. And so the thing is what else do you want? What is it that you really want out of a legislator? What is it that you want out of us? What is it that you say to yourself, you know what, I got one now. The guy's listening to me. I want something. What is it that you want?
So I want to go back to what she was saying. When it's that time for you to be elected, you come out campaign, you want to vote and everything. And then say we do our investigation of the person who we might vote for or not.
Right.
And then, like she was saying, And when you get in office, I'm not saying you are speaking in general, then there's nothing, we don't see anything done that you said you were gonna do for our community. And like you said, what is we want done? Well, we might want more street lights, we might want more police protection patrolling in our area. We might want this or that has something to enhance or improve our community. And we voice those concerns to you in town hall meetings or when you come to the church or whatever, and it's still not getting done. Why should we keep voting for you?
I understand that. Well, I mean, that's a good thing.
I don't know how much it would cost us. What I would like to see is, okay, so you're in office and when you were running, you said I would do these things. So now that you got your place in office and you've been there 2 months, now let's send out a newsletter. Okay, I said I would do this. These are the steps I'm taking to make this happen. This is where we are with this. I'm doing this, that, and the other in the neighborhood or whatever. I don't know if it's feasible to send out newsletters, but I think it would be nice to let people know that, hey, this is where I'm at with that, instead of, you know, each one of us have to take the time to look online to see what you're doing.
Right.
Tell us what you're doing.
Right.
We put you there. Let us know what you're doing.
Well, one of the things you can do is like when we have town hall meetings, that's one of those things that you should come to. Because we're not just coming there to talk about us and how beautiful we are, face shade, haircut, clean. We ain't doing all of that. All I'm doing is bringing in people that's giving out resources. So DTE and all of those people who will come to those town hall meetings. If I invite you, you come, you get the resources, but at that time you sign in and you give me your email. Then I can send you that flyer. Now it might be a painstaking that you say, oh, this guy can't, he just sending me information after information. Can't he stop? But I'm doing what you asked me to do.
Yeah.
And that is being informative, being on point, and being caring of what your needs are. Instead of my own personal needs, because my needs are being met. I'm getting my little $79,000 an hour check, and then it's allocated though. And a lot of people understand it ain't like you get $79,000 in one lump sum. You get $79,000, and then you got to split that up. So you'll have a community liaison, you'll have a chief of staff, and then you got to use that to pay literature.
So that's your budget, you said.
That's the whole budget.
Salary.
Yeah, that ain't my salary. I wish it was, because I'd be straight. But $79,000 is allocated, and we have to split it up. We have to split it all up. And then I have to be smart about how I get the literature. Because I can spend half of that on literature and then don't have no staff. That means everybody had to come in and volunteer their time. Think about that, being the chief of staff to a state rep or a state senator. You can do it for free.
Who comes up with the budget?
Appropriation comes up with the budget. So appropriation is like 9 members. And whoever is the big kahuna, so whoever's the big party gets the chair. Okay, so since it's all Republican, of course, you got a chair that's Republican in appropriation. Now appropriation handles all of the funding. They handle all of the fundings in the departments as well. So DHS, Energy Commission, all of those departments, they deal with all of that funding. Now, that's what most state reps want to get involved with, and state senators. They want to be in appropriation. That is the big of all seats. You know, you go in there, smooth up, kiss up to the speaker, to the majority and the minority whip, and you say, I want to be in appropriation because I can handle budgets. And usually that's who usually go there. Seniority rules. If you there for the long term, because we run 3 times. A lot of people understand this. When you run the first time, you're going to be running again the second time. Now the first time you get in, it's all bells and whistles. You get in your room, you see the room, they put all your stuff up, your awards, ceremony, all that stuff put up. That second term, you're already getting ready to run. So by that 3rd year, you're experienced. Now you're being put in committees that make sense, that make a lot of sense. Now you can really help people when you want to. But that 3rd year, that's the time that's when the legislators start looking at, okay, I ain't got too long to go. I got 2 more in this. So I got to start setting it up for whatever I'm going to do. Am I going to run for Senate? Or am I going to run for Congress? Where I might have come down to the lower level, work get asked to be elected in Wayne County Commissioner or City Council, or even Mayor, as Kwame Kilpatrick did. So those are the things that usually happen with legislators. We don't have no job, to be honest with you. Once we get out of there, we hustle and bustle just like you do. We set it up to get a job. The reason why we get the bigger job is because we've been in the seat. So when a company like Blue Cross and Blue Shield or Henry Ford hire us in for government relations, it's because we've been there the whole 6 terms. If you've been there the 2 terms, they don't hire you. You're working at Burger King, you know, or you spotting in on conversation, keynote speakers and things of that nature, and getting paid for that stuff. But majority of the time, you know, a lot of the legislators, and I'll be honest, a lot of us legislators don't have a college education. Don't. And so they have a high school diploma. And back in those days, a high school diploma can get you any job. But now that service jobs are going, they kind of in the same boat. Everybody's in the same boat. If I don't get elected again, I'm in trouble. I got to figure out how to take care of my family. So I tell people every time they get into these fields, have a second income, a disposable income. Don't be relying just solely on this. Because if you are to be public service, yes, you may get a job in the public sector. You may work for DHS, you may work for any other public service. But nothing is guaranteed. In this conversation is, we already got 2 bills that we're already about to be looking at. The House, the new DPS bill that got tabled. So the new DPS bill, it's funky. So with the old DPS, they're going to have the old budget. So they're going to have the deficit. They're going to keep their officials, elected officials. So Lamar Lemons and all of the people that you elected to be on the school board will still be on the school board. They just will not have any power. They just won't have no say so.
Why are they on there?
Because they still elected officials. We cannot kick them off. By state statutes, we can't kick them out. The only way you kick them out is by you electing them in and out. So they will stay on there. They will watch over all of the deficit. Darnell Early, who's the emergency manager for DPS, he still will be the main guy to watch over the system, educational, curriculum-wise and financially. The board will just watch over the system, but they will inherit all of the debt. And so with that comes with the schools. 10 schools will become alternative schools. And in those alternative schools, they will be like the last chance schools. The rest of the good performing schools at DPS will go to the new DPS system, which one will be, they will have a representation on that board, which will be one from the governor's office, one from the mayor's office, one from city council, one from the EAA. We just found out that the Michigan Charter Association will have someone on there too. So, and a person from Skillman will represent as well. So, no one from DPS will be on that new DPS. It will be a different look and a different financial that will be going to that one. Now, in that new bill, wherever you may live in the suburbs, in the rural area, 7% of your school aid fund will go to DPS new system. And a portion of that 7% will take care of some of the debt of the old system. So you can imagine, today has been a trying day, because going to different places like West Bloomfield, who has a high economic structure, and Automation Alley in Oakland County, they're now very happy about the idea of they got to pony up some money to keep, to take care of DPS, to get DPS back on its feet. And so that is now the big talk, but that has been tabled. The governor is really pushing it hard. It's been rejected 3 times. None of the Detroit delegates have supported it. None of them. So that you don't have to worry about that. He ain't sold out yet. There got to be some tweaks in the law. So the Democratic caucus, the Black Democratic Caucus, headed by Brian Banks, who's the chair, are all stable enough in saying, no, we cannot go back to our constituents and say, hey, look, you know, we need you to support this bill, this new bill, because it doesn't make any sense. We have given, you cannot elect someone and tell them they don't have any power, they don't have any say-so. So with the new bill, this double, it's like 15 cases, 15 bills wrapped up into one bill. So it's going to be a trying time next year in January 2016. Along with October next year, we got to balance the budget. Because by state rule, we have to have the budget balanced by October 1.
How do you feel about this bill to DPS?
I mean, it's kind of like ridiculous because if I had the money, okay, so we know that England took the money, took the surplus, and said because Detroit Public Schools, they had a $100 million surplus, okay? And curriculum-wise and testing-wise, we were higher than all our other counterparts during that time period, during the late 80s up until like 1998. We were breaking our MEP scores and all. Attendance records was going up. But because the federal government gives a lion's share to Detroit and Wayne County, because we had the largest district, Governor England was like, well, you know, we want to home that in over here in some of our other cities, townships, and villages. So which then entailed had the state to be able to take over, over DPS. The idea was to fluctuate it or to minimize it so much that you needed a consent agreement, which entailed the emergency manager. So then that emergency manager was the model utilized to put in all other areas like Mid-North, Pontiac, Flint, Saginaw. And so that's how the emergency manager emerged. All the emergency manager does is, as long as there's weakness in the economic structure in that area, if we as the Department of Treasury deem that it's too broken, then we can put a consent agreement forcing basically your legislators, your local municipalities to kind of dumb you down and say, okay, we have no other choice. Financially, we can't keep up afloat. So here, we're going to agree with the governor and the state legislators that we're going to give our city to you. And your job is to manage that and making sure that financially we stay afloat until we get it all together and then you can leave. But then when you leave an oversight committee to make sure that everything that was in those contracts that we gave out during the emergency manager stayed operational. So all those black business owners who had vendors that was here in the city of Detroit, they're going. Those that you seen on Belle Isle, those that you seen in Cobo, they're gone. The biggest problem was with Cobo was that the fact that the mayor, Dave Bing, city council, they were trying to stagnate the takeover or the removal of Cobo off the city of Detroit's record because they were trying to find out how they could get $10,000 a year. And they couldn't get it to manage the building. So they had to go and turn it over to the authority. Now you have authorities everywhere. Being honest, you have authorities everywhere. That is when you see an authority in your county or in your township, get ready for a consent agreement. Get ready for an emergency manager. Because that's how it starts. When you put an authority there, they watch the books, they make sure everything is running, and then boom, now we got a consent agreement. Now we sit in front of your local municipality, your mayor, your city council, even your judges. They're all infected by this. And then we dictate to them on how much the expenditures go. And it's their job to make sure, those emergency managers, it's their job to watch over that funding and those contracts.
Do you So any emergency management that's, I guess, in the upper peninsula,
Mhm.
the upper part of Michigan?
We do not have any in the upper peninsula. Anything in the western part of Michigan, there is not an emergency manager. Only as closest up is Ben Arbor. That's as close. But Brighton, Lansing, all of those, you know, Kalamazoo, they don't have it. Yes, ma'am.
Especially when it relates to the school, because I interned at Osborne, and that school is like a wreck. I mean, the kids don't have books to take home.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to know, as legislators and representing Detroit communities, how do you guys, and I know parents bear some responsibility, but how do you guys let the school system just get so bad? Yes, I mean, if you guys are legislators and you're supposed to be kind of watching over the night watching, so to speak, I mean, how did it just go down? You said from 2000 or 1998. I mean, what were you, I don't know if you were in office at
I was dealing with a local municipality then at that time. So, but I will tell you how it happened.
No, I don't know how it happened, or how you guys let it happen.
Well, it ain't about letting. It's about you don't vote. Again, here it go. If you say I'm gonna slap y'all all on the wrist, you Democrat. Y'all ain't did nothing since 1992. So when 96 come around, 94, 96 come around, and voting time comes, I ain't voting for y'all. And a Democrat coming in there, maybe 5 or 6. But the rest of them gonna be Republicans. Well, okay, if I have a conservative idea, I'm gonna utilize that to do what I need to do. Now, if I got 5 state reps who are conservative, heavy conservatives through the education portion, if they want to see some changes, and they in those particular heavy seats, remember I told you in appropriation and they chair in some of the other committees, standing committees, now they get to dictate to what's going to happen. Okay, so now here you are with 5 Democrats and all Republicans. Now you're a minority. Now think about it. If you ain't got no negotiators, if you ain't got no real strong negotiators, no people that can be up in there and say, hey, we don't like this, so let's change this bill. And I'll give you this if you give me that. But when people are not thinking like that, all they thinking about is, I'm trying to get in that seat. Or I'm trying to get in that seat. Or I'm trying to get in that seat. So now when a bill goes through, man, it just went right by you. They told you to sign it, you went to caucus meeting, because we have caucuses, and then they had to tell us what we're going to vote for. How are we going to do this? Are you going to vote yes or no? If the Democrat caucus tell you when we inside that room, right by the floor seat, they say, we're going to vote this way. You're going to say, okay, yes, I'm voting this way. Yes. Now you can abstain from it and say, I'm just not voting for it at all, and just say, I'm walking out. I'm not going to vote. But then we'll use that as a way to get you out. Because we're like, hey, you ain't on the team. We want you to vote this way. And you didn't vote this way, so we're not going to give you enough money to run again. Or we're not going to give you enough support resources to help you run. Now you're going to be out there on your own. Now some state legislators have changed their parties and went from being a Democrat to being independent, just so they can get on appropriation. So it causes a big hoopla, and then all of a sudden things happen. People who are in charge get to dictate to how they want to do things. You don't have great leadership? Listen, in Detroit, we had 10, at that time, we had 12 state reps. And we had 10 state senators. So we have more than every other state rep, state senator, okay? Because they had 1 in their precinct and district because they're not larger than Detroit and Wayne County. So we had 10. We had 12, excuse me, at that time. 12 of them couldn't get it right to make sure that you didn't lose anything. So when we lost in gerrymandering, that's what you want to call it, or redistricting, then we lost 2 seats. So in losing 2 seats, by moving the district around, now you put me against somebody else that's strong. So you may lose one of us. When you probably needed both of us to be in that capital, so we can keep things from not happening to you. But now you put me against Rashida Tlaib, or you putting Fred against me, or you putting who else was another strong one?
Staples against, the first time.
Yeah, I think, you know, Stallworth and, yeah, so you have that problem. And so now you take one of us away, now you add some loser in there. Or you have nobody in there. And now you got a whole bunch of idiots running around. And with this one, you put people in there to make sure that they don't have any negotiating power. You in the seat, you happy you made it through the primary, you got voted in. And now, you just there. Now you just scrambling around to get noticed and just say, you know, I'm the strongest person, I'm this and I'm that, but you really don't have any power or any say so why you even a state representative or state senator. And some of those state senators are about to leave. So Coleman Young is about to be going. Burt Johnson is about to be leaving now. So now that field is about to be wide open. So, you know, let the state senators make the laws. So when we lose some of them, Jesus Christ, you know, because some of those state reps that's in there now are going to go for their seats. Now, if they couldn't do anything while they were state house seats, just imagine when they go in there to be the one to make the law. So it's your job, again, like I stated before, to do the research on people like me so then you won't have that problem.
We got 5 more minutes.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm still don't understand. Going back to her question,
Mm-hmm.
are you trying to say because if people don't come out and vote, it's our fault that the public school system is the way it is?
No, what I'm saying to you
I'm
is,
misunderstanding.
so what I'm saying to you is this: if you don't include yourself in the mix, it's all of our fault. It's not just one person, it's not one group of people's fault. It's all of our fault. Because it's your fault for not voting in the primaries because you wanted Diane to be here. Because you felt like, you know what, it's raining outside or it's too hot outside. You know, I don't want to go there. It's going to be too crowded. Nobody, you know, who cares? She'll be in the general election. Then when you don't see her in the general election, then you're really disappointed and you just don't vote even more. Okay? So, that's your fault. My fault is to allowing myself to be hoodwinked because I just wanted to be in the seat. That's all I care about. All I want to do is be in the seat when I have that mentality. That's all I'm saying. Is when I had that mentality, that's how the school board got taken over. That's how the school system got taken over. That's how Belle Isle got taken over. That's how Cobo got taken over. You know, because of those things. I just want to sit in the seat. I love to be called the honorable Ishmael. I love that title. Because, you know, I get comped for all of those things. You know, those beautiful luncheons, breakfast, and all that. I get comped for those things. When I want to go to the Tiger game, Mike Gillis should make sure I'm in the suite. Not in the seat, in the suite. You know, if I want to go to a Pistons game, I just make a call. The owner will get up there and say, okay, I'm going to give you tickets to take you and your family to the game in the suite, not in the seat.
Okay.
You follow? So that's how those things get happened to you.
But you better remember that when you run, remember those skeletons I talked about in the closet?
Well, yeah.
I'm coming back to political.
Just a quick question, so if this bill passes,
Yes.
is there a backup plan?
No. No.
Do you think it will pass?
Being honest.
You feel?
Yes. 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 You gotta just remember what I told you. People who are in there now are just there to just get that seat. And so to get some positions. So then they can move to where they want to move to in the next couple of years. Because for some of them, they're going to run for city. For some of them. And they're going to say, hey, you know, I was the Democratic leader. You know, I was the minority whip. I was the majority whip. You're going to be like, what is that? I don't know nothing about that. Sound important. So I'm going to vote for him because him or her, because that means, you know, dang, he got some power. I'm going to tell you, I made mountains change. I turned desks over. When they told me we can't vote this way, I said, hell no. And they listened to me. But then you're gonna say, well, didn't that bill pass through? So why you didn't change that? Well, you know how those Republicans are, you know, I couldn't get my way on that. So that's what I'm saying to you. Stop that before it gets too much. And the name recognition, cut it out. Cut it out. All right, cut that out. If you live in Detroit, stop. Name recognition don't get you nowhere, but just the name. Yes, ma'am.
Second question to follow up on that. Okay, so if it does go through and we were to do like some bigger advocacy and fundraising for the school system to get booked, and to collaborate with corporations, would that money disappear because of the deficit?
No.
Okay.
It will go straight to the Treasury, the Michigan Treasury Department, and it will go to the lottery and all of those functionalities that it was supposed to go to. Then the philanthropic money will come right on in. So your Skillman Foundation, and all of them Kresge's and Knight Foundation, all of that money will come in. That pot of money will come in, and that will keep the new DPS system running.
That's old.
Sorry for you.
The old.
The old one, you'll keep the deficit.
They're not gonna.
We'll keep plugging at it with the 7%. We'll keep plugging at it with the 7% funding that comes from the school aid fund. We'll keep plugging for it, like 2%. I think we said 2 or 5% of that will go into that old budget.
That's just
So,
systematic failing. Like that's just structured failing.
well, we're trying to dissolve it. Being honest.
Doesn't seem like.
So that 7% you're taking from the suburbs, you're taking it from the suburb school budgets?
Yeah.
So the schools that are barely functioning,
Sorry for you.
so you're just making a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you call your governor, that's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
that's
he's
not.
putting the plan out.
And then you're gonna probably let DPS go under, granted, you have vendors and everything,
Correct.
and you're not gonna pay their bills.
Correct.
Why are people gonna then sell you new textbooks when, hey, DPS never paid these textbooks, why am I gonna sell you more?
Because we got the fluff. We got the imaginary bubble that makes it look attractive. So instead of we can say, look, we got rid of this old system because this old system was just completely collapsing. Well, because we had this new system, now we can start all over again. And now we can make you look good if you just continue to put that money inside of this.
Who are you leaving behind in the old system?
Oh, well, your children that have bad NEEP scores, bad attendance, social issues, those are the students that will be continue to stay in those alternative schools. We'll be plugging those kids who are passing grades, passing their attendance, passing their NEEP scores, all of those wonderful bells and whistles, and we're putting them in a new system, along within the school system. They're still keeping the school of choice, where your child don't have to stay in DPS, they still can go to another school system.
Is there a way to prove that wrong, like to make those?
Yeah, you can make a call to your state legislator.
That's right.
You can make a call to your state legislator and be involved in your school. Be involved in your community schools. Being involved, give you the opportunity to learn how that system is running in your school system. So if you're parents or you're just involved with the school activities in the school, then you can actually know what it takes.
But what's that gonna do for me if I'm in the suburbs and you're stealing my money?
Well, I'm not stealing it, you give it, no problem.
I'm just kidding.
I own you. Your school system probably gave it to the right, oh, now I say this last one.
Oh, just to get her first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
These town meetings that
Yes.
you said,
Yes.
are there any of those coming up in the next, say, 20 days that you could tell us about?
Yes, please.
All I can tell you is look up the Michigan legislator and look up whoever's in your district, whoever's your representative in that district, and contact them and say, hey, look, are you hosting a town hall meeting? If they say no, say screw you, and I don't want to vote for you again, because you're not going to give me no resources. You're not helping me at all. But if he's saying yes, what you gonna ask? What you
Do
gonna ask?
you need an agenda?
Okay.
We have to attend the town meeting
So
by
we're talking about
November
policies and
18th.
you have an agenda?
Yeah.
So we're
So,
prepared.
But he knows everything.
Yeah, so what you'll do is that, like I said again, you get with your state legislator, find out when they're having a function. Any breakfast function, any town hall function, tell them you want to be on that list.
And the governor was having something just recently, you know, he's been pushing these two-tier
Yeah.
DPS very strongly.
Well, and then the EAA got in trouble. That's why they be doing this. Being honest with y'all, the EAA got in trouble. The EAA, the Educational Achievement Authority. They got busted. They got busted by the federal government for falsifying information for their contract that they got with the federal government. So now their top brass, all of them are facing some problems. They're looking like some jail time. So because the governor was a component for that EAA, he's now backtracking and saying, well, you know, that's your fault. That's not my fault. That's your fault. And now we're going to push this new system. And with the new state superintendent from Dearborn School System, he is now enacting as well on the new school system. So it's a lot of people in the game, a lot of puzzles in this, where it's my job where I keep getting these grades coming in.
I know it's 8:15, it's time for us to go. Let's thank Ishmael for go home and get your popcorn and watch Bay. I'll see you next week. We talk about advocacy. I just forgot about those articles on non-profit and all that. So go ahead and knock those out.
There you go.
We'll call you